Time traveling. We've all daydreamed it before, but the real question is, can you survive it? Like if you were to time travel to, let's say the 90s, you could probably live a pretty normal life. But time travel to the medieval ages, that could get real dicey real quick. I mean, it totally depends on who you are. If you're a king, you're probably good, but if you're a peasant, good luck. Unless, are there differences between a peasant from the UK or a peasant from France? These questions need answers, folks, and I'm just the man to answer them. Now, I may be a zoomer, but I think I would do perfectly fine in this time period. After all, most things that are popular these days are just revivals from those time periods. And of course, that's what really matters. Not boring stuff like the fact that this time period has modern healthcare, infrastructure, and technology. No, that's boring. Now, it might take some getting used to. After all, dinner with YouTube is my favorite time of the day, but I think I'd be able to do it. No TikTok either, but there's Vine. At least for a little bit. And I'm gonna avoid living in New York. Just cause. I'm just randomly putting that out. Oh, and I forgot to mention, for this hypothetical, we're just gonna assume you spawn in with whatever's default for the time period. We wouldn't want any Victorian children to be questioning our iPhone 11 now, would we? Averaging out the global life expectancies from 1990, 2000, and 2010 respectively, we get about 67 years. Now, me personally, I think I have a near 100% chance of surviving and adapting to this environment. Anyways, wheel time! So here's the gist. Whenever I'm giving background information, I'm kind of just cherry picking what I think might be interesting to say. But that's not really fair, is it? I mean, we got to include some other statistics here. On this wheel, there are the top 50 countries by population, and I will be comparing their life expectancy for the time period compared to the global one. And I mean, we got some pretty heavy hitters here. It might even land on your home country, so stay tuned. Anyways, let's give it a whirl. First up, we got Uganda. No, I'm not making a Ugandan knuckles joke. Uganda's life expectancy for this time period is 51 years, a bit under the global average. How did this number come up? Well, I use this little site called ChatGPT. Serial killer, cigarettes, drunk driving, no seatbelts, diseases like polio, leaded gasoline. I mean, what a time to be alive. And that's not even mentioning crazy shit like the fucking Cold War. Nuclear scare? It was Wampam real back then, baby. And forget dinner with YouTube. It was dinner while watching a death row inmate get executed. Of course, it's not all negative things, you know. The economy was booming, healthcare and vaccinations were on the up. Things were looking pretty good. I mean, imagine tuning into your TV or your ham radio and learning they landed on the moon. That would be pretty crazy. The global life expectancy for this period was around 53 years. And I think if I were to genuinely time travel into this period, it would take some getting used to, but I think I would be able to survive and adapt to it. Probably a survival rating of 70 to 80 to 90. Let's spin the wheel. And we are going to Brazil. The life expectancy here for this time period is 56 years, just a bit above the global average. Obviously, we gotta mention World War I and II. It goes without saying how much they affected the world as we know it. And if that wasn't enough, we also got the Great Depression. What an exciting time period. On the bright side, we have the Roaring 20s, another period of great economic growth. During this time period, it seemed like nothing would go wrong anytime soon. Do they know? The life expectancy score for this time period is approximately 38 years plus a coin flip for random injury or affliction. The lowest we've had so far. Me personally, how would I fare? I'm cooked, guys. Like seriously, I'm cooked. My ass would be gone in war, okay? I would not make that shit. I give a survival percent of 20 if I'm lucky. Spinning the wheel, we get Poland. For those who didn't know, I'm Polish. Not born there, but anyways, it's not really important. Thus, Poland has a life expectancy of about 45 years, plus that coin flip from earlier. The Industrial Revolution, truly something that has had absolutely zero consequences on the human race. Now we're entering an interesting territory where lack of modern medicine and sanitation can kind of just cook you. Oh yeah, that doctor that's operating on you, he didn't wash his hands, bro. You're done. Worst yet, his operating on you is basically just slicing shit all willy-nilly until your problems might go away. Not to mention, good luck without any pain medication. Oh, and you want to go somewhere outside of walking distance? Well, be prepared for an actual pilgrimage. Your ass is either walking, riding a horse, maybe riding a train, and if you're lucky, riding a ship. But are you really lucky? I mean, do you want to catch scurvy on a ship that looks like this? This is the time period where you would probably start noticing weird accents and choice of word the most. I mean, yeah, you would probably notice it in maybe the 1900s as well, but here you would definitely notice it. Like someone could for real say some shit like, "You knave, I'll have you punished for this." And you have to take their ass seriously or you might just get a knuckle sandwich. or whatever their equivalent is. Like I said, if you're gonna get screwed over by one thing during this time period, it would be the public's lack of knowledge of sanitation and general hygiene. The global life expectancy for the 19th century was about 28 to 32 years, with the global one not really existing for the 18th century, or at least the standard one that I could find on Google. As for me, my survival percentage, it would probably be the same, around 20%. It would get incredibly hard to get accustomed to this time period. I mean, sure, it's all fun and games when you play as a cowboy in RDR2, but living as one for the rest of your life? Nah, man. And the wheel reveals Philippines. Almost got pulled in there for a second. Anyway, their life expectancy for the year 1900 is 31, smack dab in the middle of the global expectancy. If I'm being totally honest, I don't think my chances of survival are any better during this time period. Sure, amazing things and discoveries were invented, but like, people didn't wash their hands after taking a dump. Any disease situation from before? Well, it's only gonna get worse as we go back because medicine isn't frankly getting better. I mean, obviously, we're going back in time. What did you think? Like, sure, amazing that calculus got invented. A huge W for the human race. But like, I could get food poisoning and die from eating a moldy piece of bread. And this probably wouldn't affect me, but if you were a criminal back then, they would just kill you or brutally torture you. Like, people back then just frankly didn't give a f. I mean, historically, there's a time period called the Enlightenment when people decided, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't be brutally torturing and killing people for their wrongdoings. Unfortunately, I could not find a standard life expectancy for this period, but let's just say it's maybe similar to the previous one. Anyways, my survival percentage is probably the same, 20%, maybe higher, maybe lower. Does it really matter? Because I'm just gonna get some uncurable disease and die from that. Anyway, the wheel lands on the UK. Fortunately, there is data this time, and it says the life expectancy was about 33 to 40 years old. One word, fellas, one word: the Black Plague. That's it. That's all there is to it. You're gonna die from that, more likely than not. Here's a list of plagues, epidemics, and infections that I would likely succumb to. Smallpox, leprosy, tuberculosis, dysentery, pneumonia, and influenza. Of course, we can't forget all the medieval crusades and warfare that would probably have you brutally executed. And if that isn't enough, you have literal RPG NPCs like bandits and outlaws who will just stab you to death for your belongings. If you're not a noble during this time, you're probably done. And even if you are, maybe you're the subject to decades or centuries of inbreeding and have some sort of chronic syndrome or disease that is, well, just uncurable because of tools like this that were available back then. Frankly, I don't know how anyone lived, okay? Call me a snowflake if you want, but seriously, okay, maybe if TikTok existed, it would be a bit better. Anyways, life expectancy for the early medieval ages in Europe is 30 to 35 years old. Actually higher than later years. Maybe they were cooking with something here. I'll put my survival percent at a solid 5 to 10%. Wheel time yet again, and this time we get Italy. Italy for the Middle Ages has an average life expectancy of 33 years old. Basically, just take what I said about the medieval ages and turn up the knob to 10, okay? I mean, it's a really cool era to look at, you know, online on Wikipedia, you know, ancient Rome and ancient Greece, very cool stuff. But living in that time period, no. Again, your best odds are probably being some high-ranking official, except for a emperor of Rome during the year 44 BC. But hey, look at the positives. You can see how the pyramids were built. You can maybe even meet some famous people like Alexander the Great. But you'll probably get malaria and die before any of that. How fun! This time, we have a variety of life expectancy. For ancient Rome, we have 20 to 33 years old. For ancient/classical Greece, we have 25 to 28 years old. This time on the wheel, we got Argentina, which didn't actually exist back then, so unlucky. Guys, press like and subscribe and I'll spin it one more time. Okay, it's spinning, and we got Morocco. Well, Morocco also didn't exist back then, so yeah, now that I think about it, I don't know how many countries on this list actually existed back then. Now take what I said about ancient history, throw it out the window, burn it, and remake it 1 million times bigger, because that's what we're dealing with. If I'm being honest, I'll just take the L here, man. Scavenge the wrong berry, and you die. Hunt the wrong thing, and you die. Something as simple as the common cold or hunger could get you here. Any natural elements also got you here. Extreme heat or cold? Sucks to be you, buddy. Life expectancy was 20 to 30 years. And my survival percentage, I give a near 0%. And I would spin the wheel, but I literally don't think the concept of countries existed back then. I don't know. Need I say anything? Dinosaurs. Maybe if you go far back enough, it'll just be like amoeba and fish, but what are you seriously gonna do with that? Moral of the story, time travel to sometime cool like the 80s. Subscribe.